Hey there, creepy peeps. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome back. If you are returning, we're back with another hidden gems video. I feel like this has become the series for quarantine times right now. So as the title suggests, I'm going to be talking about some what I consider hidden gems on Netflix. Obviously, Netflix is slightly different depending on what country you're in. So these are for sure on Netflix in the US. I can't say that these are all on Netflix for everybody, no matter what country you're in. And like my previous videos on other streaming sites, the movies I'm going to be talking about are movies that I consider to be hidden gems, underrated, not talked about enough. Obviously, there are a lot of horror movies on Netflix right now that are generally considered popular. I'm not going to be talking about those movies because everybody talks about those movies, so. And as always, leave your own hidden gem suggestions and recommendations in the comments for myself and your fellow horror fans who are on lockdown and need things to watch. So hopefully at least one of these things that I'll list you haven't heard about, and I can give you at least one suggestion. That being said, let's get into this. So the first movie I'm going to recommend isn't actually a movie at all, but it's a reality TV show, and that is Dragula. Basically, it's a horror themed drag competition. Think RuPaul's Drag Race meets Sci-Fi's Face Off. There's only 2 seasons of this, I think, ever. I don't know if they've continued this at all. On Netflix, for sure, there's only 2 seasons. But it's funny, it's iconic, and honestly, it's kind of like the best way to occupy your mind during this kind of like scary and crazy time, just by watching like drag queens like fight it out in a horror themed setting. I mean, it's just great. Okay, now we're getting into the movie. So the next one I'm gonna recommend isn't actually really underrated, I don't think, but the trailer for the sequel just dropped, so I want to talk about this movie, and that is Train to Busan. This is my favorite horror movie to come out of South Korea and my favorite zombie movie ever. Honestly, if you've been putting off watching this, or it's been on your watch list for a while and you just haven't gotten around to it, now is the time to do it. Especially if you're on lockdown, you have plenty of time. Watch this movie. Hopefully the sequel will come out on time. It's called Peninsula. I'll link the trailer in the description if you want to watch it. But talking about Train to Busan, this movie is brilliant. It will scare you. It'll make you laugh. It will make you cry. And if you don't cry, I'm convinced you have no soul. Name a more well-rounded zombie movie. I'll wait. Okay, now on to some actually under-talked about horror movies. The next one I want to recommend is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. It follows a father-son team performing an autopsy on an unidentified woman. As the procedure moves along, though, strange things start happening. This is an unsettling movie for so many reasons. I personally find autopsies and cadavers unsettling in general, just normally. But a potentially cursed cadaver who may or may not be causing horrific things to happen while somebody is cutting them up. Ew. Really though, the creep factor in this movie is through the roof. I highly recommend watching this, not only in the dark, as you should watch all horror movies really, but with headphones on also. The next one I want to recommend is a found footage horror movie, and that is As Above, So Below. This movie follows a young woman and her friends who are trying to find the Philosopher's Stone deep within the catacombs of Paris. Again, just an inherently creepy like situation and setting, being underneath the city of Paris with hundreds of thousands of human remains surrounding you. It's just being down there just in a normal circumstances. I guess like a tour is a normal circumstance, but that's just creepy in general. Plus just being underground freaks me out as a Floridian. Like, we don't have basements here, so the idea of like being underneath the earth just seems not right. I really love the characters, particularly in this movie. I think they sell it for me. They're really engaging, you like them, which is super important in a horror movie, because when you care about the characters, you care about what happens to them. So when they start getting in scary and, you know, potentially deadly situations, you get nervous and tense because you don't want to see anything bad happen to them. Okay. Now for something completely different, and I mean completely different, and that is Tusk. Tusk follows a podcaster who travels to Canada to interview an eccentric old man for his show, only to become trapped in the man's house and become subject to his horrific experiments. This is the first and best of Kevin Smith's True North trilogy, which hasn't been completed yet, but it's meant to be a trilogy of horror comedies that are set in Canada. The second of this trilogy is Yoga Hosers, which doesn't hold a candle to Tusk, honestly. I don't want to give anything away about this movie, and if you've seen this movie, please, I'm begging you, regardless of any other movie on this list, this is the one that I please beg you to just not spoil in the comments. If you haven't seen it, just go into it blind, and I promise you've never seen anything like this movie. Another found footage horror movie I want to recommend is Creep, which follows Aaron, who answers an online ad and drives to a stranger's house to film him for the day. The man wants to make a movie for his unborn child, but his requests become more bizarre as the day goes along. This movie is so fucking creepy, as the title would suggest. Mark Duplass is a certified master at freaking me the fuck out. Kind of a bit of a slow burn, but the payoff, in my opinion, is completely worth it. If you end up watching this movie and you enjoy it, Netflix also has the sequel, Creep 2, which also stars Mark Duplass and his dick. Just want to throw that out there. Another slow burn that I want to suggest is The Invitation, which stars Logan Marshall Green, who is attending a dinner party at his old house hosted by his ex-wife and her new husband, who, as it turns out, have sinister plans for their guests. This is another one that I don't want to spoil the ending, so I'm not really going to talk about the plot here. Like I said, this was a slow burn, kind of like Creep, but unlike Creep, I feel like the payoff in this movie is a bit more understated. Still creepy when you think about it, but it's not crazy and insane, or yeah, it doesn't really build to like a big like explosion. But if you like dark and disturbing slow burns, The Invitation, watch it. Next up is kind of an older one, but I never hear anybody talking about this very much, and when I do, it's so rare, and that is Event Horizon, which incidentally is the name of a spacecraft within the movie that goes missing and mysteriously turns up again. A crew is dispatched to investigate the craft, but it's quickly found out that something horrible happened to the crew of the Event Horizon, and that thing is still on the ship. If In the Mouth of Madness took place in space, it would be Event Horizon. And incidentally, both of those movies star Sam Neill. What do you know? Lawrence Fishburne and Jason Isaacs are also in this movie. Like, I mean, can you say iconic? Like, this is definitely a mindfuck of a movie, but it's absolutely worth it. If I were ever to do a top, like my favorite sci-fi horror movies list, this movie would absolutely be in the top 3, if not in the #1 spot. I'd have to think about that though. You know me, I love anthologies, so I have to throw an anthology on this list, so I want to recommend Holidays to you. The title kind of says it all. Each segment is a horrific take on one of the big holidays. So, you know, like New Year's, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, blah, blah, blah. It's actually kind of nice to watch like right around now because it's about Easter time. And speaking of the Easter segment in this movie specifically, I guarantee you've not seen anything like this. I actually don't know if maybe the segment would be a little bit offensive to Christians. It might be. It might be. I found it rather enjoyable though, so. Maybe with the exception of Easter, there's at least one movie out there that deals with a major holiday. All of these segments are super unique, so that it's not gonna be something you've seen done to death a million times. And finally, I want to suggest one last slow burn because apparently Netflix is killing it with the slow burns right now. I want to suggest The Blackcoat's Daughter from Gretel and Hansel director Oz Perkins. And the reason that I mention that is because I feel like a lot more of you might have gone to see Gretel and Hansel earlier this year. So if you saw that movie and you liked it, you liked the whole like style of it, you liked that it was a slow burn, you need to watch The Blackcoat's Daughter. The movie follows a troubled young woman traveling to an isolated prep school where 2 stranded students face a sinister threat from an unseen evil force. That really doesn't summarize the movie very well, I'm going to say, and if you've seen the movie, you know that, but that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to give anything away. This is the second movie on this list that I would say if you've seen it, please, 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 please don't spoil it for anybody in the comment section if you haven't seen it, because it's just really worth it to watch it. This is another one that it's a very slow burn and the payoff isn't like crazy or insane in any way. I still think it's worth it, but this is more of a dark, disturbing, just movie throughout. So there you go. Those are 10 what I consider to be hidden gems that you can find on Netflix, at least in the US for sure right now, at least 100% of that list. Like I said at the beginning, leave your suggestions for everybody else and for myself too in the comment section, because we all need stuff to watch right now. So help your fellow horror fans out. I want to thank my creepy patron peeps really quick for their support of my channel. Thank you guys so, so much. If you want to find out the perks to being a creepy patron peep yourself, you can follow that link in the description. If you're new here or you've been lurking, subscribe, become a creepy peep today. I post videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and all of this month there's gonna be tons of hidden gem horror recommendations, because what else do we have to do right now other than watch horror movies? I do hope you enjoyed this video though. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out. Thank you so, so much for watching. I will talk to you guys very, very soon, and until then, stay strange. Bye.